Good afternoon. This is going to be the SEC 520 content response for Module 3. Let's begin. All right, so section 1 is my response, my heart-head response. So first of all, I said basically a 21st century teacher must be good at planning, must be a good planner. Without good planning, your lessons are just not gonna carry the punch, and also the students may not understand what you're trying to sell them. So you got to be a good planner these days. So instructional planning must be differentiated for your student audience and take into consideration all their learning styles, whether you have EC, whether you have AIG, whatever the case may be. Your goal for your learning objectives should be driven by Common Core or essential standards, for my case, social studies, and streamlined into concise and clear directives to your students that can be measured and attained. You know, I'll go ahead and say that I probably wasn't doing this per se when I was teaching. I just kind of threw some stuff together for learning objectives, and it really wasn't. They really weren't measurable. So that's kind of what I learned about this chapter. So moving on. So a continuation or section 1 for the hard head is, if you see in the corner, of course, I got the Bloom's diagram there, which helps me out a lot, just kind of on that higher level of thinking. So to start off here with this slide, it says focus on goals with data to measure effectiveness. So have the goals in mind that I take from my unit plans and then actually put them into a learning objective, and something they can measure, not only my effectiveness, but the students' effectiveness, so I can quiz them on it at the end to make sure they know it. And I do this by using this Bloom's taxonomy. It should be used to help create kind of a deeper dive. Um, like I said, I think my downfall earlier was just not getting deep enough with these kids. I was kind of on that old school, just kind of memorization type stuff and drilling stuff into them, which they understood it. They did real good, but it wasn't really challenging them to the expectations I think they can do. So that goes from my personal experience. During my class experience, I was putting my learning objectives up there. I was trying to challenge the kids as much as possible, but I think my shortcomings were not getting those action verbs, like I was just learning in the readings, and not having kind of a clear goal for the student. So I'm definitely going to use that in part of my tool bag, so for future classes to come. I'm very anxious to use this, just because uh, to be squared away, organized, and efficient. That's what I'm all about. So, all right, moving on. So the video and the text, from this module, um, you know, that kid Dalton. I'll talk about it later, but Dalton, he's a motivator. I think this was even a better video than the one earlier. He was younger. I think he had more applause from the Dallas crowd than he did in the other one. So this one, it's cool. It makes me motivated when I see kids like this that really want to tap into getting those resources from the teachers and motivate us, because Lord knows we need it. um, so yeah, it was informed. The textbook readings were really informative for me. Just to kind of like I said, with those action verbs and kind of the planning cycle, and how to put things in order, and organize yourself more efficiently. So using that every day in my planning cycle from now on, and then also trying to use it with technology as well, would be good for me in the future. So all right, moving on. Section 2. Section 2, we're talking about creating a clear objectives, gives you organize and identifiable learning assessments that will give the teacher and the students the plan of the day. And while taking Cornell notes, like in my class, we always take Cornell notes, if we have to take notes that day. And then it will make them also, like, in the Cornell note structure, it makes there's a slot for the students to actually write the learning objective. So not only are you going to see it posted around my classroom, but they're going to actually have to write it down every time they're taking notes, so that ensure that the goals are a little bit more clear. So all right, moving on. I like this guy's little dude there. So a new way to think about planning for me was, taking these unit plans breaking them down into daily learning objectives gives the teachers and the students more clarity. That's something I was kind of just winging a little bit, but the clarity, for both of us, I think is going to not only uh, make them score higher on the test, but I think it's going to help them definitely take the concepts in a little bit better. So, and then planning long range and short term unit plans and converting them to sustainable learning objectives is key to the success of a teacher. I know that now. My grades my test scores were okay, but they can always be better and always can be improved. So this is definitely going to be a good tool for my toe bag to tell me, you know, perform higher, at least my expectations. So, um, and then effective planning ensures student engagement and learning is measurable. That's the key thing for me. I don't think my learning objectives before were that measurable. So this is definitely going to be key for me to help gauge, if they're grasping or not. And if they're not, then we'll have to kind of go back and do it again a little bit. So, um, it's just like I said, happy about this tool that you gave me, man. And again, I'm going to try to use that technology in there. I know technology is a big thing in the classroom, and I'm trying to get better as the days go by. So just using that for me is going to be a big plus. All right, so just continuing there. If I set the tone there and I set my expectations and they know that I'm always going to have these things posted on the wall, that they're going to have to write them in their Cornell notes, um, and when I submit lesson plans, I can get back and forth from my fellow teachers, administrators, or teacher coaches. It's going to set me up with a whole set of check and balances. So I think that's going to help me out. Moving on. So section 3, textbook responses. I use page 129, paragraph 4, as far as in the chapters. And basically it says the importance of lesson plans and the unit plans they support cannot be overstated. As one high school teacher puts it, the better the teacher plans, the better the teacher. So, which it makes sense. Same thing goes with the Marine Corps. Anything you're doing in life, you plan, for the most of it, and try to get all the contingencies out there. You're gonna have a better plan set up to help the success for your unit or your students. Um, and I just mentioned here, the teacher's workload comes long before the teacher steps foot in the class. It's almost like a planning for a Broadway show. You don't just ask the actors to show up on the day and put on a play. Most of the planning occurs before the curtain rises. So, um, and then the article talking about the ABCDs of writing instructional objectives. That was cool for me. I love acronyms. Of course, being a Marine. The ABC method of writing objectives is an excellent way to structure instructional objectives. In this method, A is for audience, B is for behavior, C is conditions, D is for degree of mastery needed. So clear, concise, and easy for me to kind of remember when I'm kind of setting up and writing my learning objectives. So it gave me some good structure there. And then this big old paragraph here I took from a model of learning article that you posted, ma'am. And this is, although the content process and knowledge dimensions are represented as hierarchical steps, the distinctions between categories are not always clear cut. And I could read on, but the message is kind of saying, look, although dimensions are set up from lowest to highest order of thinking skills, there's some overlapping that occurs. So, and this works good for me because I can see left to right, challenging more and more as we go to the right of of the diagrams and stuff, and getting the students to apply, and dig deeper, and then forces me to dig deeper as well. So, and then, the Bloom's taxonomy, what's old is new again. I used page 20, last paragraph. It says in the original taxonomy, verbs are associated with 6 categories of cognitive skills and abilities: knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. And then also using the revised technologies, objective writers can target either a category or one of the 19 cognitive processes. So it's just another tool for teachers, and I think the revision made a lot of sense to me. All right, moving on. Dalton's video, again, like I said, kids motivated, talking to about 175,000 Dallas Independent School District teachers. He was motivated. They were motivated. Uh, as many of these kind of motivational videos you got, ma'am, it works for me because I do something called Motivation Mondays. And basically, I try to look for stuff like this to get the kids motivated and myself motivated. So thanks for this one. Keep them coming. And then we have, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Other than that, thank you for your time, and until next week. Let me get back to the screen. I don't know what happened here. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Sorry. Bye-bye.